Hi everyone, good evening. This is Prashant. Good evening, Umi. Good evening, Ashni.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
All going good so far. Waiting for Dr. Ghosh to join in. Umi, ma'am, can you just um, send a text to him?
Yes, I'll do that.
Is Indore a little better or same?
I think, from the last 2 days, it looks that it's positive, right?
Okay.
Um, but again, Ashni can't say at this point of time,
I know.
uh, not really assured about the things. And I think when a country like Singapore announces an extension of
It's
lockdown,
lockdown, yes.
so I guess
But
we are.
Singapore shut it down also very lately because there are a couple of friends of ours in Singapore and
Mhm.
everybody was in office till I think mid-March. Not mid-March, beginning of April, everybody was attending office as normal.
Oh God, that's
Yeah,
crazy. That's
that is
great.
why they had not even in stop put up like a lockdown. They were all going to their offices just with masks. Even the
My God.
schools were going on. Only the
Oh,
primary schools were shut down. Not even the middle schools were shut down.
that's surprising. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I think for us, it's a long battle. Honestly,
for us it is definitely.
it is definitely a long battle, and uh, you know, of course, health is the first thing that the family and the kids would look forward to.
Yeah.
So let's see how and when students and parents are mentally prepared to really, uh, you know, go ahead with this actually. So let's see how it goes.
But today I attended this webinar, Intu's webinar for Oregon
Yeah, yeah.
State University. The
Mhm.
professor there was very, very clear that they'll be opening their classes in September.
I think, as a state-wise, I've talked to a lot of colleagues in California. So as a state-wise, if I see the California is a super confident state right now, right? Because they have handled the situation very well.
Right.
Uh, so we need to understand that, if, US embassy gets open in India, right?
Yeah.
And I think then probably we should see students making to United States by August mid.
Okay.
So that's how, and even in California and in some other states also, mostly in the West Coast, they say that we will be having our normal in-person classroom sessions. Some, of course, New York as a state has no other priority right now except the
Except
crisis. Yeah,
yes, yes.
exactly.
Exactly.
So how was the supply chain thing? It's a very interesting program.
Yeah, it was a nice thing. Mainly, they were telling what jobs after graduation students can do,
Mm-hmm.
what all jobs they can get.
Excuse me. I have
Yeah.
got a message from Chinmay, Dr. Chinmay Ghosh, that he's here but he cannot see us. So I request Rahul, please see if you can see him in the participants and help him out.
Dr. Ghosh is here.
Yes, he's here.
Fantastic. We need to unmute him.
He's saying that I don't know. He's not able to open the link.
No, I think he's there.
Is there?
He's there, and I think is that the QCOM BTD is his ID, I guess.
1 second. Let me check. Maybe. Rahul, can you help Dr. Ghosh to come?
Yes, ma'am, but first we confirm.
How can
I
we
think
come?
this QCOM must be his ID. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I have unmuted.
Hi,
And
Dr. Ghosh, can you hear us?
can you also put on his video,
No,
Rahul?
no, no, ma'am. Yeah.
I can see you now.
Great.
Okay, welcome Dr. Ghosh and good evening to everyone and welcome to the webinar today, which is on a very interesting topic, how to make a career in finance. And to address it, we have a very senior faculty and the veteran in the field of teaching and research from a reputed University of Connecticut, Dr. Chinmay Ghosh. A very brief introduction of him. He heads the Department of Finance there and is an alumnus of our very own IIM Calcutta. He pursued his PhD from Penn State University. And has been teaching at the undergrad MBA, executive MBA, and PhD level. He has been honored with many awards for his teaching, this, and for his research. And from the Globalizers team, we have Prashant sir, who is an educationist and international education consultant with an experience of more than 13 years of guiding and mentoring the students. I am Umi Saran. I am heading the University Relations Department and mentor for undergraduate applicants. We have Rahul Malviya with us, who is our digital marketing expert. And quickly, one look at the agenda of the meeting. We will be having Dr. Chinmay Ghosh first, and then we'll be having some questions from Prashant sir to Dr. Chinmay Ghosh. And lastly, we'll be having some questions from the attendees. So attendees, please keep your questions ready after Prashant sir's questions are done with, you can type them in the chat box. So over to Dr. Chinmay Ghosh now, sir. We are waiting for your enlightening talk.
Good
Well,
evening, Dr. Ghosh. Prashant this side. Thank you so much, and I hope things are settled in Connecticut so far.
well, it is just as settled as it can be because, as you know, the situation here is very, very serious, and Connecticut happens to be one of the hotbeds. Basically, I think the tri-state area, which includes New York, Connecticut, as well as New Jersey, mostly Western Connecticut and Northern Jersey, as well as entire New York City, roughly about more than 20,000 people have died, which is possibly the highest in the world. So the situation here is extremely serious. The university is completely closed. Most of the business is closed. But all classes are going on. Everything is online, as is the rest of the world. So from that perspective, you could say things are normal, but the definition of normal definitely has changed. And university is not going to open. Open meaning classes will be going on during summer also, and so all summer classes, particularly for the risk management program, we have already announced will be online. We don't know what will happen in fall, although we are, offering admissions and students are also paying deposits. I'll talk about all of that. But the situation definitely is very, very serious. There is no question about it. And this part of the country is worst hit. So we are extremely cautious. But we'll see. I mean, this is a country which is extremely resilient. So do we expect things will get normal again? Of course, we just don't know when. So things are progressing towards that, but one does not know. I mean, this is going to have an impact for several months, if not several years. So we shall see. So you got my PowerPoint slides, did you?
Yes, we have got them. Have you got them on your screen, sir?
Well, I mean, I have to then open it. I don't have it on my screen yet, but you can project them if you want to.
Actually, we'll have to download it. So if it's there on your laptop, you can just share the screen.
Okay, all right, I will do that. Because then I have to close a few others that I have on my screen.
That's fine. We'll wait for you.
I'm not particularly familiar with Zoom. That could be one problem, but let me see.
If you're not able to do it, I'll also try and download.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Let me try. I know. It says you disabled participant screen sharing. So I am
Rahul?
definitely a part. Yeah.
Rahul, can you?
participant. So,
Umi ma'am, please stop sharing your screen. Then he will be able to share
Okay,
his.
okay. So, yeah, 1 second. I have stopped.
okay.
So now you can share your
Uh,
screen.
no, I cannot. It still says it disabled.
It will take, I think, one
Uh,
or 2 seconds.
just a minute. Uh,
You cannot actually download my slides. It should not be. It is attached to an email, so it should not take that long.
now you can share your screen.
Yes, sir. Now you can share it.
Okay. Can you see
Correct.
it now?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Very
Okay.
much. You can do the full slides.
Full slides. Okay. How about now?
Yeah.
Perfect, sir. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So I will go through this quickly because I think it is more important that we allow the prospects to ask questions.
Yeah.
This is just a map of the state of Connecticut. And you can see that there are two highlighted cities. One is Hartford, which is where the university is, and the other is Stamford, which is near New York. We have classes at both cities, mostly in Stamford as well as in Hartford. We have roughly about 150 students in Stamford right now, in first year and second year, and roughly about 100 in Hartford. So most of the students for the program are actually in Stamford, and one cohort is in Stamford. So Hartford is about 25 miles from the campus. The main campus is in Stores. So here are some highlights from the FRM program. I'm sure that everybody in India knows what STEM designation means. It stands for, I believe, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So very few actually business school or business programs have STEM designation. We do, which means that students after graduation stay in the country for OPT or CPT for about 3 years as opposed to 1 year. I will talk about academic excellence and then personalized career service and support, a worldwide alumni network. We have several alumni in India as well as in China and several other countries, and of course, many in United States. Great location in the sense that for foreigners like myself and the students, this is possibly the best location in the country. What I mean by this, I don't necessarily mean Connecticut, but I mean greater New York area, which is where Connecticut is, and Stamford is possibly is the greatest location for foreigners, particularly Indians. There is a large concentration of Indians in both Connecticut, New York, as well as New Jersey. So you will have a lot of people that you can socialize with. So from that perspective, this is a great location. Campus is very, very safe. There is no question about it. Here is a picture, a snapshot of some of the faculty members. These are full-time faculty members. There are about 10 of us. And of course, these are all PhDs. And most of these people are involved in very serious research. And as you can see that there are people from all over the world, as a matter of fact. You see my picture. And Professor Akotomavo is from France. Fanny Yang is from China. Jose Martinez is from Argentina. Professor Yakov is from Russia. Stephen Park is from China. And Professor Shinoy is from India, of course, and Professor Bai. So these are people that teach full-time, and I will talk about that more. These are the pictures of adjuncts. These are all practicing full-time practitioners that come to our classes to teach and various other seminars and all that. Some of them are also serving on the board of directors. So here are some of the, I don't see everything here, but in any case, what we are trying to do here is basically to show the growth And first is that when we first conceived the idea, it was really in response to industry demand. Then the program started in 2010. That means that it took me about 2 years with a team of professors to actually develop the program. That means a lot of research went into it about the course content, as well as at that time there were only about 2 or 3 programs similar to this in the world. One being at Singapore, National University of Singapore. And our program is very much modeled similar to theirs. And the other one was University of California, Berkeley. So we consider our competitors to be these two mainly, because I visited both programs before we actually formulated ours. And we have 10 years of experience now. So on average, if you assume that we have graduated 150 people every year, then we have about 1,500 alums at this point of time. The program, when the program first started in 2010, we had only 25 students. Last year, as well as this year, we have more than 1,000 applicants. So the growth has been phenomenal. These are, you could say, I will show you more with respect to the course offerings. So there is about 3 modeling classes, 3 classes on risk management. Then there are 6 classes, most of which are designed as seminars, and these are taken both by full-time faculty as well as practitioners. And then there is a 5th semester, which offers you a concentration in quantitative methods in risk management. About 50% of the students take that. I'll explain that a little bit more. Here are the ways that you can actually get involved or become a student. One is full-time. The other is part-time. There are very few part-time students. Most of them are domestic students. I don't know of any international students that are not full-time. You have to be full-time to be, otherwise you'll be deported from the country. There is a 4+1 program that is actually meant for domestic students. That means 4 years of undergraduate, then you enroll in our program and you can graduate in a year. That's the 4+1. That's not for international students. Full-time students take 4 semesters of classes, starting in fall, then spring, then summer, then second fall, which is fall 2. You can graduate, or you can continue in the second spring, which is the 5th semester, and graduate either at the end of December, or you can graduate at the end of May. As I said, about 50% of our students are actually opting for graduation after the spring semester. Class times, there are 2 cohorts in Stanford. One is 1 to 4 p.m. The other is 7 to 10 p.m. And Hartford classes are only in the evening, 6 to 9 p.m. There are classes 3 days a week. Sometimes, not too often, but sometimes there are evening classes, rather after weekend classes also. But those are very rare, and those usually happen during summer. This is the course offering. You will see that the first semester, there is a class in modeling. Second semester, spring, there are classes in both risk management as well as modeling. Then summer, there is the last modeling class. And then we have the legal and ethical issues, which is a very important class as a matter of fact. And the first seminar class, which is the advanced issues and applications in risk management. I teach sessions in the first semester, summer session, and the second fall session. So I teach in the first fall session, then the summer session, and the second fall session. I don't teach full classes. I teach only parts of the seminar classes. So there are about 12 classes that are required. You cannot graduate for less than 12. That means 36 credit hours. And then there is the option of taking 3 more, which means that you can actually take 3 more classes. These are all quantitative, extremely programming oriented classes, and a large number of international students actually take this semester. Heavy emphasis on experiential learning with capstone projects. These are actual projects that use real-time data and with in-company involvement. At this point of time, we are actually involved with about 29 projects going on. So almost every student is a part of the project. And these projects are sponsored by business. So there is a business partner that will supervise the students along with a faculty advisor. We also have internships this summer. We will have internships with Goldman Sachs, PwC, JP Morgan, AQR, Merrill Lynch, Young Capital. And so then financial risk competitions as approved by the finance department head. That means that there are national competitions in which our students regularly participate. There are a very few number of students that are actually participating in the student managed fund also for the graduate students. I don't think at any given point of time, we have had more than 10 students participating in that because it is extremely competitive and actually preference goes to our MBA students. And then we have dinner discussions with professionals. There are about 10 of these during the year. So there is heavy emphasis on outside or off the classroom activities. Capstone projects, you will see that this is a picture of a presentation being made by students. And these are, as I said, company sponsored projects. Right now, we have about 29 of them going on. And these start in the middle of spring this semester and continue through summer. Students get credit for this. One of the things that, as I said, the important thing here is that it involves significant amount of data analysis, data collection, and significant amount of modeling. These are not actually projects that are textbook oriented or academic in nature. These are practitioner oriented projects where companies will be directly involved with the students, and there will be a report, which most of the companies find that report to be very useful. We have, these are also again off the classroom or outside the classroom activities. We bring in professionals frequently, maybe as I said, 5 or 6 times every semester, there will be professionals that will be coming in. These are not actually adjuncts teaching. These are people that come in for informal presentations, informal discussions of what's happening in the world with respect to risk management. And then there are workshops. These workshops are something that the students find to be very valuable. And these are actually offered by mostly full-time faculty members. And we offer about 14 of them. And these are mainly on programming as well as, so there are several programs that we actually cover in these workshops. Competitions and student managed fund, I already mentioned those. Internships, you will see some of the companies too in which we have been able to place our students. Extracurricular activities, we put a heavy emphasis on social activities because international students definitely need social interaction with the American society as well as the community. We do that through various university activities as well as through activities involving business as well as other members of the society. There is a very large population of Chinese as well as Indians in this part of the country. Career services is very important. We have a full-time person in Stanford, Jason Gorak, and we have a part-time person, Annie George, because there are fewer students in Hartford. So Jason is there 5 days a week, and Annie is there 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week. So these people, their only job is to help students launch a career, not necessarily find a job, but launch a career as to how to be ready for your career. So that's what we try to do, that when you graduate, you are ready for a career. Where are the career opportunities? Mainly in finance. There is some in healthcare because there are a lot of insurance companies in Hartford as well as in Stanford. Some of them are in healthcare, some are heavily into insurance, and technology. So these are the 4 areas where our students have been able to find jobs. Many Indian students find jobs in business analytics with emphasis in finance. Also there are a lot of people who have found jobs in the insurance-oriented jobs in Hartford, as well as in Stanford. So you will see that these are the skills that are most requested. Obviously, risk management is at the top, risk assessment, credit risk, market risk. So there are many different varieties of jobs in which we have been able to place our students. And you can see the number of students where we have been able to place them. So there is a large number of students who have actually been able to find jobs in these various areas. So one of the things that you can tell from this presentation is that there is very heavy emphasis on career services. We track our students, we try to keep in touch with them all the time. There are many students who have come back to us after their jobs and have looked for new opportunities, and we have helped them. That means that the career services is an ongoing process, and it is constantly something that we pay attention to. 1133 postings in the New York metropolitan area, and Connecticut about 117 postings. Most of these are in Hartford and Stamford. Here are the various companies where we have been able to place our students. All of the big names are actually represented here, as you can see. So far, we have had about 10 students placed in Goldman Sachs, which possibly is the hardest job to find in the finance world. Location of placement, Hartford and Bridgeport, New Haven, Springfield, Massachusetts, which is about 30 miles from Hartford, Norwich, Danbury, Waterbury, Worcester. These are all cities in Connecticut. This does not include New York. So you can see that this is a metropolitan area about Hartford, around Hartford and Stamford, that there we have very large concentration of our alums there. Recruitment and networking events. We have scheduled recruitment events with Goldman Sachs, PwC China, and domestic KPMG, Credit Suisse, social and networking events with Graham Capital, Young Capital, American Capital, Marsh, AON. So the point here is that this is a very, very active undertaking that we do almost on a, I would not say daily basis, but every week there is something going on, sometimes twice a week. Total number of graduates, this is strictly 2018, 198, 83.7% have been placed within 3 months. Not all in the United States, of course, because there are some that want to go back to China. US placements have been 55% and 45% have been international. Average salary is $94,000. Average salary, but there are some that obviously are significantly higher than that. 85% of the students utilized FRM career services. Now, I should actually emphasize that career services does not mean finding a job. Some students have that wrong notion. We will never guarantee a job. If somebody tells you that a job is guaranteed, that is never true. What we will guarantee is that you are ready for a career. Job is strictly between you and the person sitting across from you. We cannot influence that process. We will help you get there, but ultimately it is you who will be who is the person that the companies will be looking at. They will not be asking you any questions about your courses, because once you graduate from this program, they know that you know everything. So when you are in the last round, all they're trying to find out is whether you are a good fit. How much you know is no longer the question. They already know that. So when you are in the final rounds of a job, where you went to school doesn't matter anymore. How much you know almost doesn't matter anymore. The question is, are you the right person they're looking for? So, you know, I mean, ultimately it is all you. Indian students usually do very well. So this is the same thing that nearly 90% of the students, 76% is saying, 33 or 43 from India. This is the last 3 years. Of the 43 Indians, 33% have already been placed. The ones that have not been are actually in the classes right now. And most of them are placed 76% in the first 3 months after graduation. Some people, as you know, happens all the time, get jobs even before they graduate. This is once again location. As you can see, New York area accounts for 67%. There are some in Chicago, Greenwich, Connecticut, Hartford, and some have gone back to India, a very small number. So the most of the students have, 70% of the students have been placed in the greater New York area. And where have the companies been placed? You can see Goldman Sachs, Barclays, Hilton International, then Jeffries, Pitney Bowes, some of these companies, IBM definitely is one of them. I don't see that name here, but these are the major companies. There are some insurance companies also. Those are not mentioned here. Where are the jobs? Most of these are in the risk analysis, some in risk associate, some in financial analysis. So most of these jobs have been in the area of risk. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is that risk is a highly quantitative area where Indians and Chinese students do very well. So that's why we see that companies are beginning to really focus on most of the Indians that we have. And those are the ones that usually get their jobs early. I cannot see the mean market salaries. Maybe you can, because there are pictures on the right-hand side of my screen. But I don't, well, I mean, the salaries, some of them, I cannot actually tell what these numbers are, so maybe you can see it. I cannot see most of it. Here are pictures of some of the alums. Most of them I actually recruited in India, mostly in Bombay and Delhi, and they have already been placed. Here are some more. So these are Kunal and Bhumika, are brother and sister that I recruited about, I think 2 years ago in Bombay. These are alumni network and support. This is a very active thing that we do. Alums come back all the time. So this is basically a team effort. So where students, alums, and the placement service, as well as the faculty, work together to help students find careers. Here is the application process. Sherry Randero works with me very closely. So she's the first person of contact that you have to. Here is the link. We look forward to reviewing your application. Application process, official transcripts and diplomas are required. So uploaded unofficial transcript is fine. I will tell you what adjustments we are making because of the virus that has affected the entire world. Test of English, that means TOEFL, is definitely required. The other thing that we require is obviously GMAT or GRE. In some cases, those are waived, usually these are required by the graduate school. They are not very keen on waiving those, but sometimes when we tell them that yes, this guy has sufficient education as well as maybe relevant experience, they will be willing to waive those. I-20s are definitely necessary. You know that process. We don't get involved in that. International office will be shipping the I-20s to you. There are scholarship opportunities. Scholarships usually range from starting from it could be as low as $2,000 per semester. Some could be as high as $6,000 or $7,000 per semester. And our total tuition is about $48,000. So there are cases where some students have received as much as 45 to 50% scholarship. There are no graduate assistantships, but there are some student labors. So semester we will possibly hire about 6 or 7 students, and then graduate students are definitely eligible for campus work, and for that you have to apply on your own, and several of our students have been able to find jobs on campus. So 33 credits for domestic, 36 credits for international. Per credit cost is 1,500. Actually, that will be reduced because there is an increase that the Board of Trustees approved. We are appealing that given the virus situation, we possibly will not be charging that increase, but you should not hold it against me because we have appealed to the Board of Trustees that the increase in fee not be imposed this year, maybe next year. But as of right now, it is 1,500. As I said, I think it will be less, possibly around 1,425 or so. What are we doing during the quarantine? This is very important. Visual networking opportunities. We are targeting research companies to follow job leads. We are placing heavy emphasis on interview preparation. And effective virtual presentation. That is one of the things that we are having our students practice, because many companies cannot hold person-to-person interviews now. So at least the first few rounds are virtual interviews, and it is very important that you are ready for the virtual interviews just as much as you will be ready for person-to-person interviews. So from the company's perspective, there is no difference at all as to how you present yourself, how articulate you are. These actually become more important when you are doing things online, because what is funny is that in an online interview, they are actually paying more attention to what you are saying than, because they cannot see all of you, they only see your face and possibly the upper part of your body. So they are heavily focused on your face, they are heavily focused on how you look when you talk. So those things you have to be very careful about when you actually do an online. We do online teaching, and university has special training programs on how the professors should conduct themselves on an online teaching. The other thing that happens in an online interview is that most of the time it is recorded. So you have to be very careful about what you are saying, because everything can and will be held against you. So those are things that we are actually telling the students, that prepare yourself, make yourself as, one of the other things that we tell international students mainly is that they tend to speak English too fast. So we always tell them that listen to evening news, say every word very clearly, speak slowly. These are very important skills that you have to actually acquire over time. Indians are good at that, so we are not too concerned about Indians, but they also have a lot to learn. I will be happy to stop here and take questions.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Prashant sir now will be waiting for your questions. Dr. Ghosh, can you stop your sharing screen so that I can start with the questions?
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Umi, can we have the slide?
Yeah, one second.
So who wants to ask the first question?
I have some questions for you, Dr.
Sure.
Wonderful. So first of all, thank you for a fantastic presentation and very encouraging. Despite this depressing atmosphere of COVID-19, right? And I was very glad to see one of our students in your presentation, Nishita Manglani.
Yes.
And I think
Nishita is possibly one of the most outstanding students we have graduated in the last few years.
Fantastic. And I think her brother also, Anshul, you might be recalling Anshul Manglani.
Of course, he's also very bright. Yes, both of them actually are placed.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for supporting them, and of course everybody who is at your campus. So I think, sir, as a finance, when we meet students, and when we are trying to counsel them, they want to go for finance, but even BBA, BCom, and sometimes even engineering students, they see that there are so many programs which relate to finance. It's a very broad stream. So they have FRM, they have finance, they have financial engineering, they have quantitative finance, they have sometimes financial analysis, right? So I would want you to enlighten our students in this regard, that which field goes which way and how to actually choose it.
Well, no matter which finance field you go to, there are mainly 5 basic paradigms in finance. And those are all around the 5 areas in which finance professors have won Nobel Prizes. I'm not going to go into that, but those are the 5 basic theoretical paradigms in finance. And every single program is built around that. So if you go to a master's in finance, you will see that those programs are not talking too much about risk. Those programs are not talking too much about programming skills, although some of them actually are beginning to because of the competition. But our program is basically a blend of a significant amount of theoretical modeling, including statistical and mathematically oriented courses, the 3 financial modeling courses, and then a lot of applications. So if you are asking me, one of the questions that came up is that some of you may not know, in fact, UConn actually has a master's program in financial math. And that program has been around for at least 20 years. And when I first submitted the proposal to the Board of Trustees, one of the questions was as to how our program is different from theirs. But if you look at their coursework, you will see that it is heavily theoretical. They don't have as much emphasis on how the business uses finance as we do. Most financial engineering programs are actually designed that way. I'm not suggesting that they are not strong. Possibly the strongest financial engineering program is at Carnegie Mellon. We do not directly compete with them because our students always want a lot more applications-oriented coursework, and that's the way ours is. But having said that, the program from the times that we first designed it to what it is now, we have slowly shifted and included a lot of quantitative skills, because one of the things that we see is that industries look for quantitative skills mainly from the international students. So analytical skills are very, very important. And as you know, that one of the fast expanding areas in finance is something called fintech. And we have several sessions on fintech that we offer free to our students. So the question is that you are right, that there are some programs that call them MS in finance. Those are the old traditional programs that are now trying to take or switch or shift to our model. Then there is on the extreme right, you could say that there is this heavy emphasis on financial mathematics and financial engineering. Our program is possibly a blend of the two, where the first semester basically is all finance concepts. You'll see that we start with the first few sessions that I teach. We are talking about the Federal Reserve System, how interest rates are determined and all that, because one of the things that we actually noticed is that when our students graduate, not all of them know these concepts. So we put heavy emphasis in that. So I take about 4 or 5 sessions, so roughly about, you could say 12, 15 hours of how the markets actually work. Where do interest rates come from? Like, for example, right now, there is heavy involvement from the Federal Reserve in how the markets will actually shape. These are the times when risk management becomes extremely important, that how companies can actually place them. So knowing just traditional finance concepts is not going to be sufficient now. You need to know what to do when these extreme events happen. And those are the types of things that we do through our projects, through our practitioner sessions. Financial mathematics program at UConn, as far as I know, doesn't do any of it. So we get 1,000 applications. They get barely 30. They have about 15 students in their class. We have about 210. So the whole orientation is different. That is the orientation that we have adopted right from the very beginning. So you could say that our program is different from traditional masters in finance that are nothing but advanced MBA classes, you could say. And our program is also different from heavy emphasis on engineering as well as mathematics and programming. Our program is in the middle, where we do both in the right dose or in the right proportion. So you will definitely get almost all of the main finance concepts here, but you will also get sufficient analytical skills so that you are ready for the job when you go in.
Fantastic, sir. So even if some students are going for masters in finance, they must be watchful of the curriculum and how that MS in finance program has adapted to the recent requirements and the programming and mathematics. Is it a good blend or not?
Well, I mean, look, if you go to a standard research-oriented US university, you are going to get almost the same exposure. What will be different is the emphasis on the practical aspects. So, one of our competitors is Rutgers. If somebody asks me, how does UConn program compare to Rutgers? I'm not going to say we are decidedly better. No, I know all of the faculty members in Rutgers. Rutgers is a very good school. It's just ranking wise about the same, or maybe slightly higher or slightly lower. I don't know. But the point is, I can guarantee that we will not be significantly better, not significantly worse than Rutgers, because all US main campus programs that are called land grant universities, which is what Rutgers is, which is what State University in New York at Buffalo is, and we are, there is a minimum standard. So if somebody tells you, oh, our program is significantly better than UConn, that is not true. You don't have to say that.
Absolutely.
What you can say that we will guarantee that if you come to us, you will not only get the best possible education, you will also get the best possible opportunity that we can offer you to find a career and a job. Will Rutgers do the same? Absolutely. So it is a choice you have to make. So that's one thing that is true for all US universities. Now, there are some US universities where I will definitely say that are not as good as UConn or Rutgers. For example, if you would say that, well, okay, what is a name like that? I would say possibly West Virginia. No, their ranking is significantly lower. I'm not going to go through the whole list because you already know that the ranking and the listing. But, let's say that Rutgers is ranked, just to take a number, 24, and we are ranked 20. Does that mean our ranking is significantly superior? No. No. It is just a matter of what information they gave, what information we gave, and then they put the whole information through the computer, and the computer says this is the ranking. But they will be teaching the same finance concepts. The question is, who is delivering the product, how effective he is, how much of company interaction and business interaction you are getting. So students seem to be tearing their hair on where we go. Ultimately, it all depends on who you are and how you prepare yourself. The opportunities that you will be getting at UConn may be a little better because of our location, that we are in Stamford. Rutgers is possibly not. Rutgers is also sufficiently close to New York City. The reason I'm saying Rutgers is because that's one of our competitors. And when somebody asks me, should I go to Rutgers or should I go to UConn? I said, go choose whatever you want. If you ask me what we can offer, I can tell you. But the final decision is yours. Sometimes students decide based on scholarships. And I will be the first one to tell them that, look, I mean, if they give you X dollars more, sure. So it's a decision that the students is going to make. What I can tell you is that our program is definitely one of the best risk management programs in the country. We offer students opportunities that are comparable with the best. Finally, it is your choice where you are more comfortable, where you want to live for the next 2 years.
No, I think from an Indian perspective, probably the way students would be reacting, of course, the comparison is inevitable between Rutgers and UConn, right? But certainly, I mean, University of Connecticut, in a sense, because of lot of crowd going to BAPM, and then finance. So overall, I think it is more well received than Rutgers. This is my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, if you ask for the overall ranking, there are many different rankings in the world, most of which students do not know. We know all of these rankings. So students look at rankings that rank programs. That's definitely one way of looking at it. But there are many other rankings. Like, for example, if you look at the ranking of the university as a whole, not program, we are far ahead of Rutgers. If you look at the ranking within, let's say, the New England states, we are by far number one, by far. There is no comparison at all. If you look at, on the other hand, if you look at, okay, where are we with respect to the Big Ten, the Penn State, the Ohio State, the Michigan, they are definitely ahead of us. That is not because of the quality of the education. It is because those are vast universities. We have 26,000 students. Ohio State and Penn State has 80,000 students. These are not the same universities. So it is best to look at program-wise. Now, if you ask me program-wise, let's say Penn State or Ohio State do not have risk management programs. So let's look at MBA. So if you ask for MBA, you will see that they are better rated. If you ask me, are they better rated? I don't know quality-wise, but I will tell you that maybe they are a little better because they have bigger alums. That means that the number of Penn State students that are in New York is possibly higher. But we have a very, very large network of students in New York. So to you, the real question is that when you graduate, you are all by yourself. You are not competing with the rest. You are competing against yourself. So when you have gone through several rounds, if you ask me that what is the likelihood that Goldman Sachs will pay as much attention to my application as somebody else from Penn State, I will tell you that it is the same. Definitely the same. Then if you survive the first 2 or 3 rounds, then it does not matter where you went to school anymore. You are already beyond that. So as soon as you have been selected for an interview, they already have gone beyond where you went to school, where your grades are. All of that doesn't matter anymore. They already know what to expect of an Indian student, what to expect of a Chinese student. See, Indians or international students don't understand that. They think that, well, where we go to school does matter. Of course it does. That is if you go to a Harvard or a MIT. Penn State is not a Harvard or MIT, nor is UConn. So long as you are not going to the top absolute brass, it really doesn't make any difference. So if somebody asks me, what if I get an admission from Harvard as against UConn, that is not a fair question. But if you ask me, where should I go between Ohio State or UConn, I don't think there is too much to choose. Absolutely not. So it is a question of where you are more comfortable, because you will get exposed to the same material. Finance theory is the same. It is a question of how well you prepare yourself. And that opportunity is as good in UConn as it is in the Big Ten. Ranking may be better, but it doesn't matter.
Wonderfully put, Dr. Ghosh. I think let's move to the next question. So I think this is very relevant to the, we face from the students. What are must prerequisites required to pursue finance or any finance-related masters, and how students can pursue them?
Well, I think that most of the students we get from India are engineering students. When I went to IIM Calcutta, we had 105 students. Those days, as you know, there were not 15 IITs, there were only 5, and there were only 2 IIMs. We were a class of 105, and right now, IIM Calcutta graduates 470. Out of the 105, I think not 100, about 97 were from the 5 IITs. Only about 7 of us were from the undergraduate program. So it doesn't matter what the background is. Business education, you can come with any background. But I think engineering background helps because it immediately tells the employer that you are good at quant skills. Finance requires quant skills. So we have already assumed that when students come to us, they first of all do not know anything about the US capital market. And most of the students, the style of education, the delivery, everything in the United States higher education is different from what you can expect in India. That is not to say that it is better or worse. It is different. It's a different style. It's a different way we approach things, we present our material. So students need to get used to it. So most of the students right now, I have a student in Hartford who comes from IIM Bangalore, one of the top rated IIMs, as you know. He went through all of the finance classes. So he knows the concepts, but he keeps telling me that the delivery is completely different. So that's what really matters. The background does not matter. I think that with an engineering background, most of the students should be able to handle finance. Unless, one of the things we require is that everybody goes through college level math, which all Indians do. So the background really is not that important. Although I know that most of the Indian students come with an engineering background, that's absolutely fine. We actually prefer that students come with an engineering background than a bachelor's. But a bachelor's is fine too.
So, business administration, a commerce degree is also fine, but I think
That's absolutely fine. As you know, the only restriction is that in order for you to start at a master's level in the United States, you require 16 years of schooling. That means that 12 plus 3, you will not be eligible. It's not at UConn, it's everywhere. Now, there are some smaller schools that are now admitting students with 15 years plus some hodgepodge 1 year. You have to be careful about that, because if INS gets a sense that that additional 1 year is something that you have put together and is concocted, you might be deported. So you have to be very, very careful about where you go to school these days, because INS, as you know, it has become much stricter, and the environment, here is how United States has changed. Laws have not changed. Immigration laws are exactly the same as they used to be. Although the president said that for the next 6 months, immigration will be halted, I'm sure that there are loopholes that will allow some people to come in. Student visas will not be affected because of this. All student visas will remain the same. But this is how it has changed. Laws have not changed. Laws have remained the same. What has happened is that people, or the people that used to be working with INS and are still now, were a little more tolerant and more generous with respect to some illegal immigrants than they are now. So if you are a legal person, in the sense that if you have legal paperwork, there is nothing to worry about. But if you are an illegal, then yes, you might be deported. That possibility is much higher now than ever before. So you may be hearing a lot of horror stories. Most of that is actually not true. That is not to say that what you are hearing is entirely wrong. What you are hearing is possibly a distortion and not with the full detail. That means that what you are hearing is the truth, but not the whole truth. That means that there is something about that story that you are not hearing. So you might be hearing, oh, somebody was deported, but not the full circumstances under which he was.
Correct.
So remember that no matter who is coming after you, US laws will always protect you. That's the way US laws are designed, that people cannot just do illegal things here. That's not possible.
Fantastic, sir. I think let's move on.
And also remember that if you are in the university environment, we will make sure that you are legal.
Absolutely.
So we have a separate ISS office that is constantly working with the students, constantly working with the INS. So even before INS comes after you, we will come after you, that you are doing something that we do not like. And you will have to stop, or we will report you. So there is no way that any of our students can face something that could lead to deportation unless that person is hiding something for us. There is all the protection that we have. There are people in that office, there are 10 of them that are working with students all the time. At any given point of time, we have thousands of, I should not say thousands, maybe about 2,000 to 3,000 international students on campus.
Amazing, sir. I think that really encourages, the students, and how UConn is really supporting them. Fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you don't get the emails that are coming out of the president's office almost on a daily basis. Every single student that has to leave campus, like some Chinese students are wanting to go back to China, they have to go through the paperwork with us before they buy their ticket, unless they have the paperwork. And, we will be completely blunt about it. Like, for example, some of the students are asking me, can they go back during summer, because summer classes are online. I said, of course you can go back. You can go back anytime you want. But I cannot guarantee that you can come back. That means if you cannot come back during fall and the fall classes are in person, then you cannot tell me, oh, I want to take online classes. That means you will not graduate.
Not graduate, absolutely.
So you're taking your own risk. There is nothing I can do about it.
Perfectly put, sir. I think this question is already being covered from you in the first question, the difference between finance and financial engineering. Can you hear the next question?
Yeah.
How is job market in finance in the United States, and how easy it is to get a job for an international student in the field of finance?
Well, it is not just the field of finance. Now, remember, it is a little difficult for international students to get a job. I'm not going to look at you and tell you lies that it is very easy. There are jobs. So it's a two-part question. Until this virus attacked, there were jobs. There were more jobs than candidates. That has changed now, but that is possibly temporary. But that's a different question from what's the prospect of international students. Now, data-wise, I can tell you that all of our Indian students, as far as I can recall, have been placed. Some have taken a little longer. Ishita, obviously, is an outlier in the sense that, she was sought after by more than one company, but she is one of the most outstanding. There are other students also who have been sought after by more than one company. Companies want to hire. The only question is, are there any laws against it? There aren't any laws against it. So when I say that they have been placed, that means that they are actually on OPT or CPT right now with the expectation that the companies, so they're on H-1 visas, with the expectation that the companies will be converting them to let's say, a green card or a permanent citizenship. And as you know, that has happened in most of the cases that Indians wanted to have jobs and all that. But this is a question that I cannot answer with absolute certainty, because a lot of it depends on which company you go to. A lot of it depends. For the first 3 years, there will be no problems. Then the question is, can we get permanent residence? That is something that you will negotiate between the company and yourself. I can tell you that if the company likes you, if they want to keep you, they can find ways to do that. I will give you an example that, like for example, we hire PhDs for our permanent positions, and almost all of the candidates that we have hired are international. We arrange green cards for them. Sometimes it takes 4 years. But is that guaranteed? No. We have the machinery here. We have the infrastructure here that processes the paperwork. I sign all of them. But there is never any guarantee. Some of them called me yesterday, given the president's order. What I told them is that you know just as much as I do. I don't think what will happen, but I don't think it will affect you.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, there are no absolute guarantees in life.
Yes, yes.
What I can tell you, yes, there are jobs, and there are definitely jobs that graduate from our programs, because these are highly skilled jobs that people are looking for. But can I guarantee each individual student 2 years from now? No. And you have to be very careful if somebody tells you jobs are guaranteed. That's the biggest lie. That's not true. I mean, if you asked anybody 2 months ago that we will have 45,000 deaths in the United States, nobody would believe it. But look how the world has changed.
And I think to really change this question, how do you see finance markets, globally? So Canada and then UK and US, if we compare, because the students do ask that which country is best to, when it comes to building a career in finance. So just your input on that.
Okay, I will tell you, having lived in the United States for more than half of my life, I would never live anywhere else, first of all. If I live somewhere else, I would go back to India. Maybe Canada, but definitely not in United Kingdom. United Kingdom does not have nearly as many opportunities as US does or Canada does. There is no question. In terms of opportunity, in terms of quality of life, in terms of social interaction, in terms of tolerance towards Europe and the internationals, United States is the best. At least until before that virus attacked. There are some incidents that I'm hearing, not so much to Indians, but definitely Chinese students that are not as kind. That will change, because this is all temporary. What you see with respect to career, with respect to jobs, there is absolutely no comparison between the United States. Forget about the United Kingdom. The financial market, everything starts here. Think of all of the companies that are every single financial company that you can think of, every single financial product that you can think of, every single large IT company you can think of, everything started here. Talent-wise, innovation-wise, there is absolutely nothing close to United States. That's never going to change. That is absolutely not going to change. That so long as this country keeps on attracting the best talent in the world, which it will, forget about what the president is saying, forget about what others are saying. All of this is noise. Ultimately, it will all go away because I deal with people that are true Americans, that are balanced, the presidents of the universities and all that. Fundamentally, they are extremely, extremely open-minded people. They are balanced people. They understand the value of people, no matter where you come from. So in terms of opportunities, nothing will ever come close to the United States. So this is temporary, this will go away. Will this do some damage to some foreigners? Yes, of course. I'll tell you something that is the absolute truth. I was living in Calcutta when I left the country. I was looking for jobs in Bombay. I could not get jobs in Bombay because they told me that the salary that we will be paying you is not sufficient because I married very early, which is why I left the country, because I did not want to live in Calcutta. So, I mean, getting jobs is not easy in India either.
Yeah.
So the question is that, yes, you are taking somewhat of a bigger risk if you come to the United States. But I think that career-wise, things have worked out for most Indians. Things will work out here also. There is no question about it. That in terms of opportunities, no matter whether it is finance, whether it is business analytics, nothing will ever come close to what the United States can offer you. And this thing that is happening now, it will go away.
Wonderfully put, sir. Thank you so much for your input. And I think from your admissions perspective, for Indian students, have we waived the GRE GMAT, or you would still go profile by profile?
We will go case by case. I just waived for somebody, and he is also going to get one of our highest scholarships. He has degrees as well as certificates like the CPA beyond his undergraduate, and has about 4 or 5 years of experience. That's a very strong candidate. I definitely want him. The reason I want him is because he will be easier to place. So when we hire somebody from India or from anywhere in the world, what we try to determine is what is the likelihood that we will be able to place him. And if that likelihood is high, then we will take him. Now remember that what type of students are going to be doing well? Students that already have a good track record. I think that there is a lot of self-selection that goes through this process. When somebody applies to our program, they already know that this is a competitive program. So, and most Indians want scholarships. There are some that we will not be able to support, but the Indians that I have personally recruited have all been on scholarships because those are very, very high quality students. So, yeah, I mean, we would be inclined to waive GRE GMAT, but I cannot answer that question until I look at the actual application.
Amazing.
In general, we waive it for students that have either beyond undergraduate or have work experience.
Okay, and CFA helps?
Definitely, it definitely will help. There is no question about it. A CFA is a very powerful degree, or rather a certificate. There is no doubt about that.
Fantastic, sir. Let's move on to the next question.
Now, what is the time? What time is it? Because I have another meeting coming in from India at about 11:30.
I think that we are about to finish. I mean, we just...
Okay, sure. Please, go ahead. Sure. I can come back again if there are more questions. That's not a problem, but go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Rahul?
Okay. So, are there any other questions?
There is one question from a student.
Yes.
One second. How is FRM different from FRM?
Oh, well, I mean, this is the question that I actually answered at the very beginning. MS in Finance, you can say MS in Finance is basically advanced courses in MBA. That means that it is step between MBA and a PhD in finance. That means that it is same type of courses, but more advanced. That means you will possibly be reading some academic papers. You will possibly be doing some project work where you will be asked to do some research and all that. It is not as practitioner oriented. It is not as heavily focused on, let's say, financial modeling or programming as our program is. Our program is basically almost all risk oriented. That means that we will be doing risk modeling with a lot more emphasis than an MS in finance. So the best way to think of an MS in finance is that it is a step intermediary between an MBA finance and a PhD in finance.
Professor Ghosh, I think I'm not able to see any other questions right now.
Okay.
So we can end it here. And to the students and the attendees, I would like to say that it was a pleasure to have you all here. And if you have any doubts, any questions, you can always reach out to Globalizers also. And we will be always happy to help you with it. And I thank you, Professor Ghosh, again for taking out your valuable time. It was really very, very informative, and you gave us a lot more than what we had thought. So it was really very enlightening. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure. Obviously, you know, as an Indian, I would like to hire as many Indian students as possible. Yeah. And as I said, almost all Indian students have been placed, and they have been placed very well. But remember that it's a risk management program. I mean, when I came here, I gave up a very lucrative career, and for 2 years I was struggling. You got to take calculated risks in life. So the question is, you got to decide which risk to take, which risk not to take. I think this is a risk worth taking. That ultimately it will all work out very well. It has worked out for me. I had to struggle for 4 years, but what I have been able to accomplish in 25 years, I'm particularly pleased with it. And most of the Indians, as you know, have been very successful in this country. So if thousands have done it before, and if thousands will do it again, you can do it also. There's no question about that. Okay, thank you very much.
Very inspiring. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in India whenever,
Of course, I will definitely contact you. I was planning to go in July. I have friends in Indore. As you know, I have research going on at IIM Indore. But July may not be possible, but December definitely is. If I come in, I'll definitely meet with you. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.